The data that we have here has to do with a food company and all the different transactions, the different companies. And we have quite a few fields to work with, including the order date and the ship date, the company that we sold to, their location, who the rep was that made the sale, what was the product that was actually sold, what category does that product fall into, what vendor sold us the product that we were able to sell, and then all the other numbers as far as how much they purchased and how much they paid and so forth. So we've got quite a few numbers, quite a few fields to work with. So this is a great basis for a number of different pivot table designs. Now we're going to start out with looking at revenue, cost of goods, profit, the commission that was paid out, our gross margin percentage, and then our net or net profit. Now, many of these calculations that I just mentioned, a number of those different fields, are actually going to come about by us using what we call calculated fields. So you'll see that as we go along here. So let's start by clicking on to anywhere in the data, and then we'll click on to Insert. We'll click on to Pivot Table, and then we'll click on to OK. We're going to start with the putting the parent company in the rows area. So we'll drag that down to there. There they are. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the revenue, which is going to be the total sale field. We're going to drag that into the values area because we want that to be summarized. And then we also want to bring in the T cost, or the total cost of goods, and put that right below the other one there. That looks pretty good. Now, what I'd like to put next would be the profit, and just the general profit would be taking the revenue minus the cost of goods here, and that'll be our profit. For that, we're going to go over to the Analyze tab, and then over to the Fields and Items. Click onto that, go to our Calculated field, and the field name, we'll just call this one PR for profit. And then in the formula area, this is where we're actually going to be putting the formula to give us the calculated field. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take the total sale, which is this one here, double click that, minus, and then we're going to do the total cost. So we'll double click that. So there it goes. Hit OK, and there's our profit. Now the next thing I want to do is bring in the commission that was paid to the reps for selling to these different parent companies. So what we'll do there is we'll just bring in the rep com, that's the rep commission, take that and we'll bring it down into here, get it towards the bottom here, and let go. There it goes. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to bring the panel here, I'm just going to kind of detach it, kind of just pull it off like this. And that way I can put this up towards the top, take this and bring it down, have a little bit more room here to work with. So the next thing I want to put in there is the gross margin. Now the gross margin is taking the profit divided by the revenue. All right, so that's going to be obviously a formula. So we'll go over to the Analyze, go over to the Fields and Items, Calculated field. We'll call this one, we'll just call it maybe GM. And then the formula, which is going to be down here, again, is going to be taking the profit, which will be the PR that we have there. So double click that. And then we're going to divide that by the total sale, or the revenue. And we'll hit OK on that. And then, now that's right now, it's all decimal, so it's being rounded up to just a whole number. We'll fix that in a little bit. The last thing we want to do is another calculated field, and we're going to call this one net profit. Now the net profit is going to be taking the revenue that we have here, minus the cost of goods, minus the rep commission, all right? And then take those three, and then that's what will give us our net profit. Now to do that, we'll just go back up into the Analyze. We'll go to the Fields, go to our Calculated field. Again, we're going to call this, I'll just call it NP for now, net profit. And then we're going to take the formula, and we'll just kind of select that, and then we're going to go down here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the total sale, which will be this guy here, double click that, minus the total cost, double click that, minus the rep commission, and double click that. We hit OK, and there we go. Now let's go back and rename these labels up here for the field. So on this one here, we'll call this one revenue. And then for the next one over, we'll call that COG apostrophe S for cost of goods. For the next one, we're going to call this one profit. And for the next one, we'll call this one commission. And then for the next one, we'll do, now this one, the field name is GM, so we'll make this one GM percentage, all right? Because we can't use the same name, you know, for a label as the field is, so we gotta leave that alone. And then for the net profit, we'll just call this one NP with a dollar in there, so that's, you know, showing dollars. And there we go. All right, now the other thing we want to do is probably format this, so we'll double click on to revenue, go here to number format, go to number, commas, no decimal places, hit OK, hit OK. Perfect. Same thing with the cost of goods. We'll double click that. Number format, number, comma, no decimal places, hit OK a few times. Profit's already done. Commission, we'll go to the commission, number format, number, comma, no decimals, hit OK. Now for this one, for the percentage, for the gross margin, we'll double click that. Number format, this time we'll go to percentage, all right? Maybe give it maybe a couple decimal places. Hit OK. A few times there we go. And then the net profit, as far as the dollars go, that is already formatted. You might want to go back and maybe just kind of select these guys here, go back into home and make them centered. Might look good. We could then maybe format this a little bit by just kind of clicking somewhere in there, going over here to the design tab, and you've got all these different you know, table styles. So let me just put this back in here. All right, there we go. Okay. So maybe go with the second level here, find something that looks relatively good there. Green looks all right. Maybe some banded rows, kind of give it some definition that way. And then also maybe even doing the banded columns and get that in there as well. So it looks kind of like a spreadsheet in a way, a little bit easier to read. So that's what we have so far. That looks pretty good. Now, the problem with what we're looking at right now, this is representing many years of data. If you look back at the actual data, we've got this stuff ranging year 2022, 2025, we've got them all over the place. So what we'd like to do maybe is set up a filter where we could actually pick a particular year to see. So in essence, without the filtering or without any filtering effect, this is all of our sales for the company's life, let's say. Now the field that we'd want to work with to filter by date, you know, by year, let's say, we have to use the order date field. Now, if I were just to take the order date field just the way it is and just kind of drag it into our filters area just like that, I'm going to get it appearing up here, which is fine. But then when I click on this little drop down, it doesn't really give me any breakdown by, well, it's broken down quite a bit, but it's not giving me any kind of grouping, let's say by year or by quarter or anything like that. So this would be a little bit crazy to work with. Now, here's what we do. Instead of dragging it into filters to begin with, what we're going to do is we're going to just drag it into the rows area. So I'll just kind of bring it down into here. Now, by doing that, it automatically gives me the breakdown by, or grouping by year. But what it also does, let me just kind of bring this up a little bit here. What it also does, it gives me the years, but it also gives me quarters and also gives me months. And I can see that not only by just looking at it here, by how it automatically broke it down and grouped it like that, but I can also click onto one of these pluses here and see that it's giving me quarters, and then by quarters it's giving me all that. If I roll that back up, it looks like that. So really what I want to do is I just care about seeing maybe the years and the quarters. That's what I like to filter by. So what we do is we click on any one of these. First of all, go to the group field and take out the months, because I don't really care about months right now. When I do that, hit OK, then we'll just see the years and the quarters. Now what I like to do is just take the years and drag that up into the filter. Take the order date, which will be the quarters, and put that right underneath it. So there we go. So now what you're looking at are all years of sales and profits and all that. Now, if I go back and hit the little drop down here for years, that shows me all my years. So I say, okay, I want to see 2024, hit OK, and now that's 2024. If I want to see 2024 and I want to see just the first quarter, hit OK, that would be the first quarter of 2024. Now that's very powerful stuff. Now, if I want to clear that, all I have to do is go back up to the first filter there and hit all, hit OK, go to the second filter, click it, hit all, hit OK, and I'm back to square one. Now let's go off into a little bit different direction. What I'd like to do is break down these parent companies into the actual companies that are underneath each of the parents. In other words, each of these companies here, these parent companies, have a number of companies underneath them that we sell to, all right? And what we can do is we can go ahead and find the field called company in this case, because right now we're using the parent company right now, see? So we're going to take the company field and drag that underneath parent, and now we get that. So we still see the original numbers here in the lighter green, but now those numbers that you see there are the total for all of the companies underneath them there. So that's pretty neat. Now, if I wanted to kind of get rid of the company and focus on maybe the years, what I could do is I could take company over here, drag that off, all right? Now I can take the years and drag that underneath the parent company and do something like that. So I still have the filter for the quarter, which is what that would be. And you could actually click onto here and just type in the word quarter so that we know what we had there. But what we're looking at here are the sales for the entire year, for each of the years, for each of the parent companies. Now, if I went in there and I changed this, let's say to quarter one, and then hit OK, then what I'm looking at is just the first quarter of each of these years and so forth. So that might be getting a little too detailed, but it just gives you some ideas. And then finally what I can do is I can focus in on quarters and years, and then have the focus on revenue and maybe profit, something like that. So what I can do here is I could take, from my values area, from my summary area, to get rid of the cost of goods, get rid of the commission, get rid of the gross margin, net profit, get rid of all those. So now, then I can then take maybe the order date, which would be the quarters, put that here, take the years and put that over here. All right, and then flip these around. So then what I have is each of the years with the revenue profit, kind of a comparison there. That's pretty cool. And then maybe for the filters, maybe I could bring in maybe the zone. So we take the zone and maybe bring in also the country, something like that. And then I can go in here and say, okay, I just want to see just the African zone. Hit OK on that. That would be Africa. Or I could say, give me, instead of Africa, maybe Asia. Click on Asia, hit OK on that. That looks pretty cool. Clear it out just by going back in there and hitting all and hitting OK. And then just to kind of tweak the overall layout here, I can actually click anywhere in the pivot, go over here to Analyze, go over here to Pivot Table, hit my Options, and then tell it to merge and center the cells. So I just click onto that, hit OK, and there we go. So that looks pretty good. I'm just going to kind of click off of the pivot so that that panel goes away, and you can kind of see what we have here now. So pretty neat little layout there. I think maybe even we could go even as far as maybe even go back to the Design tab up here, going over to the blank rows and put a blank row between each of the groups, something like that. That might look pretty good. But I think overall it's a good layout, and I think the different ways that we rearrange some of our fields and brought in certain fields, it kind of gives you a good idea of how maybe you'd like to work with your data as well under these same conditions. So hopefully you liked the video, and I appreciate you watching. Take care.